Hey everyone, it's Alan here. I am currently stuck behind a bus, and I'm heading. I'm actually heading to the petrol station. Before I go out on a very long trip, it's about 5 hours worth of driving to see a friend of mine in Essex. Little place called Clacton-on-sea. It's well, it's right on the coast, as you might have gathered from the Clacton-on-sea part, or well, the on-sea part, I should say. What else can I say? Yeah, that's about all I can say, really. So I'm heading off. I'm heading off to the petrol station. I have never had so much crap suction mounted to my windscreen before in my life, because I've got my dash cam just there. When I leave the petrol station, that's going to be filming, well, it's running now, obviously for safety reasons, but when I leave the petrol station, that's going to be filming the time-lapse from petrol station to Clacton-on-sea. I've got my GoPro, which, hello, this one here. I've got my sat-nav down there, and just in front of my sat-nav I've got my phone. So I've never had so much rubbish magneted suction cups on my windscreen ever. I've had a lot of stuff suction mounted to the car before. I have been known to suction mount a camera to the sunroof here and sort of go out and drive around with the camera on a long exposure shot, but I've never mounted all that kind of stuff to the windscreen before now. Sounds a bit silly saying that when I say, well, I've got a dash cam that's mounted to my windscreen. Yeah, that's there all the time. That's the only one that's there all the time. Obviously, I take my TomTom out the windscreen when I leave the car. I take my phone out of its holder when I leave the car, and I'll be doing the same with this GoPro because, to be quite frank, I don't want anything fucking nicked. I don't know why, but I feel compelled to record myself filling the car up. I'll try and record a commentary over that, so as you know, it's not just a couple of minutes of me staring at the fuel pump. I need a lot of fuel. On trips like this, what I tend to do is I tend to run the tank down to basically completely empty, and then sort of put one. Basically, I'll be making a long trip on one brand of fuel rather than, you know, the 5 or 6 different brands of fuel that might be in the tank on a normal day, because it seems like I never visit the same fucking petrol station twice. There is no reason for that other than when I look at the fuel gauge and I think, I better get some petrol, I just stop at the nearest station. So that might be BP, it could be Shell, might be Sainsbury's, whatever, you know, I just stop at the nearest place. I'm not one of these people that's like a fuel snob, but one bit of driving advice that I'll give to anybody is, if you stop at a petrol station, it's going to get really loud in here if I don't close this sunroof and turn on the air conditioning. If you stop at an own brand, or sorry, if you stop at a supermarket brand petrol station and use their own brand fuel, never, ever buy the stuff that's branded City Petrol or City Diesel. It burns like shit. It's awful. And the thing is that petrol is one of those things that actually has a British standard number. You know, if you look on a petrol pump, it says, oh, the fuel coming out of this pump conforms to BS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like this city fuel has to be at the lower end of that conformity. It really must, because it's awful. Anyway, I'm babbling on about shit basically at the moment. So I'm going to be trying to be vlogging on the way down. I hate that term, but I'm going to be trying to be vlogging on the way down, and sort of string everything together in one long video. I might string the I might upload the time lapse separately. In fact, I think that's probably a better idea. So yeah, look out for the time lapse on my channel. I'll link it in the description. On the next cut, I'll be on my way by that point. I will tell you why I have spent so long being offline. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get your hopes up. I'm not going to be going into massive detail, because quite frankly it's embarrassing. But there have been people, subscribers, who have who didn't unsubscribe while I was away. There were some that did, some that didn't. And that's kind of that's humbling, you know. I've said for a very long time that I'm not into making YouTube videos for the subscriber count. You know, I'd be making videos if I had no subscribers. I don't care, because I enjoy doing it. So, you know, if I had no subscribers, if I had more subscribers than PewDiePie, wouldn't faze me. But the fact that some people who, I'm not going to say, you know, those people specifically would normally unsubscribe when a channel hasn't uploaded something in a month, or they would unfollow you on Twitter if, you know, you haven't tweeted in the space of a day. But, you know, people do that. And the fact that I think the last time I looked at my YouTube subscriber count, it was like 120 something, and my Twitter follower count was like 250, something like that. The fact that those people have stuck with me, or bared with me, whichever you want to use, is it's quite nice. It's humbling. Even more so, the fact that some of them are friends, and they've been worried about me. You know, they've been like, "Hey, where are you? What's wrong?" That kind of thing. Really nice. And to those people, I really appreciate it. Thanks. You know, it means a hell of a lot. Don't know if I'll ever be able to repay that kind of favour. Anyway, I'm almost at the petrol station now, so the next time you see me, I'll be putting petrol in the car. The next time you hear my voice, I'll be on the road. I'll speak to you in a second.
Okay, so here we have what is probably the most boring part of the video, actually. It's turns out to be 9 minutes of me putting petrol in the car. Can I do this voiceover for 9 minutes? I very much doubt it, so I'll probably cut it short at this point. But yeah, well, I did have like a ton of stuff planned to say over this. I really should have written all that down, and I didn't. Oh, I apologise if my mic peaks. By the way, it's really, really difficult to get the balance of this mic, this particular mic, right. Because if I have it set to 100%, that's too high. If I have it set to 90%, that's far too low, and it basically doesn't pick up anything. Which makes me wonder if it's something to do with the little sort of muffy pop screen that I've got over the top of it, rather than using the dish pop screen that I've got. But no, I'll figure it out at some point. Most likely when I get back to making proper gaming videos and have a decent computer to do it on, rather than doing it on my HP laptop. Anyway, so yep, I'm filling up with petrol here. As I said earlier in the video, I like to basically run the tank completely dry and then fill right the way up. That way I'm driving on one brand of fuel and one type of fuel, rather than, you know, the 5 or 6 different brands that may well be in the tank on any other day. That on a normal day shouldn't really cause issues with your car, but my car, it doesn't really like quote mixing its drinks. It's a bit strange like that, but you know, I've had this car for 7 or 8 years now, and I'm used to its quirks, so I pretty much just do what it wants me to do and fuel it how it wants me to fuel it. You will have noticed that I picked up the premium petrol pump. That's not because I'm made of money or anything like that. Quite the opposite. I do find that on longer journeys, the premium fuel runs a little bit better in the car. Any American people watching this will be saying like, "Oh, don't buy premium. It doesn't do what it says it does," and you know the regular unleaded does the same job. Yeah, in America that's true, because unfortunately in America, companies are allowed to lie to their customers. They're not allowed to do that in the UK, otherwise the Advertising Standards Agency comes down on them like a ton of bricks. And yeah, they kind of just fuck them up, pretty much. Nobody would ever touch a company that breaks the Advertising Standards Authority rules, because, I mean, right now, advertising standards is a voluntary thing. But if you start breaking those rules, then that's going to mean the government's going to start setting the rules. They will make it law. Excuse me. And the problem with the government making it law is they'll make it a prosecutable offence to break these codes, and nobody really wants that. So, yeah, all the companies, petrol companies included, stick to the rules. So when they say that the premium petrol cleans your car out, your car runs further, runs more efficiently, that kind of thing, they actually have to be able to prove it. And if they can't prove it, they're deemed to be breaking the rules, and they will get fucked over. Basically, they will get screwed by the ASA. Rightfully so, I think. Anyway. So, once I've filled up my tank, I'm pretty well prepped and ready to go. What I tend to do, and I'm not actually watching the video as I'm recording this, I'm just kind of blindly going through. I know that I'm at 4 minutes 40 seconds now as I record the audio, but I don't know what occurs in the video at 4 minutes 40 seconds. But what I tend to do is I tend to fill my tank all the way up until the hose clicks off. I then pull the hose out and then start filling the tank right up into the nozzle. Now, it's perfectly safe to do this on British cars. And that means I can get an extra 10 litres into my tank, which on my car is an extra 100 miles. I do explain this later on in the video as well, so I won't waste too much time with it here. But that's just the way that I've always done it. Anyway, I think that's about all I have to say, and I will see you guys on the next cut. Bye-bye.
Hey, right, I have petrol. I have a route set on my sat-nav. My trip counter set to 0. Now, those of you who watch me filling up there, if you think, hey, you got in the car and didn't pay for the petrol. I did. I used the pay at pump service.
50 yards, turn right.
You're going to hear sat-nav lady a lot in this video, unfortunately, because I'm still driving in the city. And until I get to the motorway, yeah, you'll hear sat-nav lady. Now, the more...
Roundabout, first exit, then turn left.
She interrupts me a lot. The more astute of you will have noticed that the lens angle may have changed.
Turn left, then turn left.
The simple reason for that being, I've changed, where has it gone? The Doobery Dad that my camera was in, I had it in that one. I've now got it in one with a much smaller lens. Simply because that great big fucking lens, very, very intrusive. You know, I mean, it's actually bigger than the size of the case that the camera's in. So it's, yeah, it felt like it was very in my face. So, yeah. Oop, left my interior light on, hadn't spotted that. Right, so, some of you...
200 yards, cross the roundabout, second exit.
They just, like, stepped out as I was driving past them. Stupid people. Yeah, some people might be questioning, you know, why did it take you so long to fill up, Alan? Well, it's quite simple. I fill my car up until the hose clicks off. I then pull the hose out slightly and fill it right up into the nozzle. Because I know my car very well. I've owned this car for 7 years now. I know that I can get another 10 litres of fuel in the filler cap. You just have to put it in considerably more slowly. It annoys some people. Ooh. 3 police bikes. Interesting. It annoys some people behind you sometimes, but to be perfectly honest with you, in my car, 10 litres is 100 miles. So, you know, do I want to annoy some people for a couple of minutes, or do I want to, you know, have to spend more time at the petrol well, more time driving to and from the petrol station? I know I probably don't save that much time in the grand scheme of things as far as my life goes, but you know what? That's the way I fill my car up.
Keep right.
I do hear some people say that. Now, I might get the little bits I'm going to talk about cars here. I might just see if I can get Scotty Kilmer to chime in on this one. For those of you who don't know what Scotty Kilmer is, who Scotty Kilmer is, rather, look up the Scotty Kilmer channel. If you're interested in cars, he's a good guy to watch. It just occurred to me, I need to check. Is my recorder actually recording? It should be. Yeah, it is. Scotty's, if you're interested in cars, Scotty's a great guy to watch because he tells you how to do some of the fixes that you can do yourself. Yeah, but some people wouldn't want to try. Now, as far as anything I do goes, Scotty's based in Houston, Texas. I'm based in England. Obviously, I'm driving a British car, so some of the stuff he says isn't going to translate. Other stuff does. I mean, I actually used his channel to diagnose a problem on somebody else's car, and he was dead. He was dead fucking right.
Keep right, then keep left.
Shut up, sat-nav woman. I'm ignoring you until I get to the M54 anyway. He was absolutely dead right. There was a rattling or a knocking when the car turned, so I was like, let's, you know, it's not going to cost us anything. Let's check out Scotty's channel. Let's see if he's got anything to say.
Keep left.
Well, he did. So we tried what he said.
Then keep right.
Replaced the part that he suggested, and hey, it works, you know, it's absolutely great.
After 100 yards, keep left.
Sat-nav woman is going to want me to turn around at the nearest island. I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I might get Scotty to chime in on some of the stuff I say about cars, just to see whether I'm right. And if I'm wrong, hey, he can point it out to me. He can say to me, "You're wrong. Say this, it'll be correct." Something like that. Yeah, as I say, if I fill my car right the way up, I get about another 100 miles out of the tank. I'll save a great deal of time out of my own life, but hey,
After 400 yards,
that's how I've always done it.
The roundabout, 5th exit. Stay in the left lane.
One piece of advice that I will give to anybody who is making a long trip like this. Now, I did all this the night before. You want to check
Roundabout, 5th exit.
everything in your car.
Stay in the left lane.
Check your oil, power steering, brake fluid, screen wash fluid, basically all the fluids. Anything that your car takes, make sure that it's full. Make sure there's not leaking. Check your tyre pressures. You know, if you've got a slow puncture, make sure that you take your air compressor or a foot pump with you.
After 400 yards, cross the roundabout, 2nd exit.
Now that's more like it. Sat-nav woman's telling me to go the route that a normal person would take. So yeah, check your tyre pressures, put your air compressor in the car. If you have a car that's sort of getting up there in age, one thing that you want to carry around with you is a ready jump. For those of you who don't know what a ready jump is, it's those little portable handheld jump starter things. Make sure you read your instructions before you use the damn thing, however, because you can knacker your car's computer, the alternator. You can do a lot of electrical damage by using those things incorrectly.
Yards, cross the roundabout, 1st exit.
Now, as you know, as for what a journey like this actually does to the car, it's actually very good for the car.
First exit.
A lot of people think, well, you know, I don't want to put the mileage on the car and that kind of thing. Like rubbish. It's a car. It's going to get miles on it. You know, don't be stupid. I've heard ridiculous arguments like that for donkey's years. Oh, I don't want to put the mileage on the car or the wear and tear and that kind of thing. It's a car. It's designed to be driven. Long journeys, like for us in the UK, yeah, this is 193 miles.
Yards, cross the roundabout, 2nd exit.
This is 193 miles from this point that I've got to drive. So, you know, for us that's one hell of a journey. It's like a 5-hour drive as well.
2nd exit.
It says 3 hours 26 with an expected delay of 7 minutes on my sat-nav, but I know it's going to be longer than that because obviously, of course, I've got to take breaks as well. But long drives are actually very, very good for your car, particularly long drives at motorway speeds. Your exhaust system gets good and hot. Your engine gets nice and hot, or so does the oil, basically all the fluids that flow through the car. All that works considerably better when the car is hot. So it's good for it in that respect. It's good for the exhaust system as well. What happens with an exhaust pipe is the water in the air, the humidity, will condense in the exhaust pipe, particularly in the environment that we have in England, where we have sort of humid weather.
400 yards, cross the roundabout, 2nd exit.
And our weather's not particularly warm either. I mean, we had a warm spell just past where it was in England and in my hometown of Wolverhampton. It was hotter.
Cross the roundabout, 2nd exit.
Than crossing the roundabout at the 2nd exit. It was hotter than Hawaii, the Mediterranean, pretty much all of the sun belt in the US, including the areas that are sort of stereotypically hot, like where Scotty's from, Texas. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was so glad I got AC on the car. That's another thing you want to check, make sure works, is your aircon.
After 400 yards, cross the roundabout.
Particularly on on long journeys, you get hot without even thinking about it, really. And also, there's one other thing that you need to take care of when driving a long journey, and make sure that it's full of fluids, is yourself. You know, your body. Make sure your body has plenty of liquid in. And bring liquid with you. Now, I always have a bottle with one of those sport caps on with me. You can buy those bottles for about £1, full of water, and you just, I know people say, oh, bottled water is so wasteful and so expensive. That's true, yes. But as far as wasteful goes, it's really only wasteful when you consider the actual bottle itself. And you can refill the bottle. Expensive? Yeah. Yeah, it's expensive to buy one of those bottles simply for the sports cap. But, well, whatever. And again, it's how I've always done it. So, yeah, Scotty, if you're watching this and I've said anything wrong about cars, or if you pick up that I say anything else wrong about anything, feel free to point it out. I'd love to hear your feedback about that. So, some of you will be watching this to figure out, or to find out, why I spent so long away from the computer, from the internet, social media, that kind of thing. To be perfectly blunt, I got arrested. Now, I'm not going to go into what I got arrested for, but I will dispel some rumours. There were rumours that, like, you know, I got arrested. Someone said I got arrested for touching a 7-year-old's erect penis. What the fuck is wrong with you? No, I didn't do anything like that. What I will go so far as to say is that it was a computer-related crime. And it took West Midlands Police 2 years. 20 months. But that's near as damn it, 2 years. 2 fucking years to investigate me. 2 goddamn years. And it's like, what? What the fuck? You know?
Take the exit, then take the motorway.
I was just absolutely gobsmacked. Now, they kept me on bail the whole time, just abusing the bail system. And West Midlands Police wonder why, well, not just West Midlands Police, but the police service as a whole, wonder why our now Prime Minister, Theresa May, wants to implement a limit on bail time. I was actually talking to the police officers that arrested me about this, because they were testing the implementation of this, and they said, well, we need to get authorization from our inspector in order to authorize your bail to be extended again. Otherwise, you know, I said to her, well, it's supposed to be the chief, not the inspector. It's supposed to be the chief superintendent that you get authorization from for that, and possibly even a magistrate if Theresa May gets her way, or gets all of her way rather. And the officer said, well, yes, but you see, that's kind of pointless, because that's going to mean that one person is constantly being bombarded with us asking to extend people's bail. That's the fucking point! That's the point! That's why she wanted to implement this system. It's to stop people from being on bail for endless amounts of time. And it's going to make it that if you want to extend someone's bail past, it was 28 days and then subsequently 3 months, you've got to go through a right fucking ball ache to do it. This means that you have to pick your heels up when you're doing an investigation, when you're running an investigation. Like, unfucking believable. But anyway, I mean, what happened? One morning, I'm actually struggling to get to sleep this one particular morning. I ended up, like, the last time I looked at the clock, it was about 4 a.m, you know, and I'd gone to bed at 1. It was a day off work the next day, so the time that I got up wasn't really going to matter. And I remember the dream I was having, it was a nightmare. Ironic, really. Starts off a nightmare with a nightmare. I was at the swimming pool. The nearest one to me is on Planetary Road in Wolverhampton. If you want to find out where that is, look up Bentley Bridge, which is a big retail park in Wensfield. Look up Bentley Bridge. Look up where the bowling alley is, and then just behind the bowling alley, Planetary Road is, it's about a couple hundred feet, you know, if that. This place is on the corner of Planetary Road. And it's got 2 big water slides. I love these water slides. You know, I'll go on them. I'll spend most of my time in the swimming pool rather than actually swimming and doing anything that's going to benefit my health. I love the water slides. There are 2 types of water slide. They've got one that's really long, really slow. Well, really slow, depends on how you slide on it, really. But it's long, it's slower than the other one. And, you know, it goes outside the building, it turns around a few times, comes back in, and then dumps you into the splash pool.
Gantry speed camera.
When you then you got the other one that is almost a straight vertical drop. There is just, it goes outside of the building for about 0.01 of a photosecond. You drop down it, you slide down it technically, but you drop down it. Someone my size, I'm pretty light. When I hit the bottom, I skim. My butt skims the surface like a stone would if you tossed a stone across a lake. And then you'll sort of you'll land at the bottom of the splash pool there. And that splash pool is quite deep. It has to be because of the amount of speed that you build up. You know, it has to stop you before you hit the end. In this nightmare that I'm having, I'm at the top of this water slide, and I slide down it, and something goes wrong. You know, I get water in my mouth, so I start to cough and splutter, and when I reach the bottom, I for some reason landed, rather than sliding on my back like I had been, I landed on my stomach, face down in this water, and, you know, I couldn't get up. My lungs, I could feel I was starting to breathe water in. You know, I felt my lungs filling up, and the next thing I know, I wake up in my bed like, including the cough, actually. Oh God, excuse me, coughing like an old man. Anyway, but in time with me waking up is this rather loud knocking at the door. Well, what the hell is that, you know? Go downstairs, and there's the police. So I sort of invited them in rather than have them knock the door down. And, yeah, we're here from this department. Something's, you know, been going on at this address. We're here to take computer equipment and arrest you and all this nonsense. So I say, okay, you know, leave my dad alone. It's probably me that you're after. That was my first mistake. Not so much telling them to leave my dad alone. I wanted them to leave my dad alone. But saying to them, it's probably me that you're after. Shouldn't have said that, really. I had to tell them where certain odds and ends were. You know, have you got anything computer related in the house? Well, you know, yes. Right. You know, I'm arresting you. You don't have to say anything. However, it may harm your defence if you do not mention my question. Blah blah blah. Oh, great, there's a queue ahead. Lovely. So started 20 months of an absolute nightmare, basically. I called my brother, who I figured would be, you know, supportive. He's my brother, you know. We've been used to turning to each other when things have gone wrong. Things did not exactly go according to plan there, because Ian basically told me that he felt that I should be dead. That hit me pretty hard. You know, that's a rather difficult thing to hear from your own brother. I mean, if you ever want an example of how not to treat your sibling, that's it. You know, don't tell your brother or sister that they should be dead, because what Ian doesn't know is this actually led directly to me trying that. And the only thing that saved me was a friend of mine, the friend that I'm actually going to go and see today. A friend of mine sent me a text message that said, the sea is blue, or the sea is clear blue today, something like that. Something must be wrong with the world. And I text him back, I say, can I call you? He's like, yeah. Carry on. So I rang him, and I told him what had happened. And I don't know whether Luke truly appreciates this. He saved my life that day. So what then happened is that, you know, the police said, hey, these are your bail conditions. You're not allowed to basically talk to any of your friends on the internet. If you want to use the internet, you have to do so in a library. You're not allowed to use the internet at home at all, which was ridiculous. Yeah, that was pretty much, well, that was day one. I was in the police station that day for about 6 hours. And
ahead, keep right.
I just kept running. When it came to, you know, getting the police to answer questions, the police are fucking irritating in this respect. Now, when I say, you know, when I start talking angrily about the police, by no means am I talking about all police officers. They do a difficult job, and the majority of policemen and women out there are good, honest, hard-working people who, as the cliche phrase says, toe the thin blue line.
Spec speed camera.
Man, this traffic's going to be difficult. Yeah, I could not get a straight answer out of them for anything. Anything at all. And yet, they wanted straight answers out of me. You know, because the caution they give you when they arrest you basically says that. You know, it says you do not.
800 yards, keep right.
You do not have to say anything. However, it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something that you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. You know, that's how that caution goes. So, you know, that's sort of like, you better answer our questions, but you don't have to. But if you don't, then it could harm your defence, and yeah, it's a whole mess. Anytime I wanted a straight answer out of them, I couldn't get it.
Keep right.
There became a lot of she said, he said bullshit going on. There would be stuff that I know that the officers in charge of the case had said to me, like when I'd called them and stuff like that. There's times I know they'd said something and they then later denied it. That's why I actually bought this thing, because that will hook up to my phone via Bluetooth and will record the conversation. Now in this country, a person has to be aware that you're recording the conversation if you plan to play the recording back to anybody else. The police argued a little bit with me on that one, because they said that, you know, I wasn't informing them that I was recording the conversation. Well, actually, if I dial 101, which is the police non-emergency number in England, it says, thank you for calling 101, we're connecting you to whatever police service is the local one. Please note your telephone call may be recorded or monitored. So the police are saying that they will record the call, but then if you record that call and you don't tell the police officer that you're speaking to that you're recording it, they throw a fit. They actually lied about me in court as well. They said that I was surreptitiously recording phone calls between me and them, and I wasn't, because every single phone call they knew was going to be recorded. The ones where they were sort of whinging that I hadn't told them they were being recorded, I'd already written a letter to them saying, I want you to call me back this time, this date, and please note any call between us will be recorded. I have it in black and white that's what I said. They still argued. If I have to give anybody any advice about, on that subject, on that line, if I have to give anybody any advice about dealing with the police, record them. One thing that the police really seem to dislike is video phones. Because we're now in a day and age where just about everybody out on the street has a high definition camera in their pocket that can get that recording out onto the internet before the officers can even blink. Now, one trick they use to try and get around this in the UK is they can seize anything that they think has got evidence on it. So all they have to do is say that they think your phone or your camera has evidence on there. Well, there is a simple answer, you know, that they can then seize that and accidentally erase all of the evidence. There's a simple solution to that. It doesn't necessarily prevent your phone from getting seized, but what it does mean is that they can't delete the evidence. There's a free service out there called Bambuser. That's B-A-M-B-U-S-E-R. Again, I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. It's great if you have a data connection on your phone. Now, I have unlimited 4G plus. No, sorry, we call it double 4G in this country. I think everywhere else in the world calls it LTE plus or something like that. I have double 4G. I can use this service to stream the current video off the phone, and with Bambuser you can then go back and recover those recordings. You just log in and say, yeah, this is the recording on this date, I want to download it. downloads it in an MP4 file, which you can pretty much just play back on anything you want, any modern computer at least. I used that when I got pulled over, in the middle of all this investigation bullshit. I got pulled over in September of 2015, and policeman comes to my window. First thing he does is he tries to open my door. Now that's not going to work because my car does something that a lot of British cars don't do. A lot of American and Canadian cars do this, but a lot of British cars don't. Is that once I put the car in gear, it'll lock the doors. And it won't unlock the doors until you open them from the inside. You cannot open them from the outside. So if he wanted to get into my car, what he would have had to have done is smash the window and then gone for the handle on the door here. At which point, he was probably only too painfully aware that if he'd have done that, I'd have sued him for damages. And I opened the window about 2 inches. Enough to talk to the guy. He kept trying to convince me to open the window further and you know, let him into the car, that kind of thing. And actually the reason why they want you to do that is so as they can see whether you've got weed in the car, whether you're driving under the influence of alcohol. Obviously they can tell by the smell, you know. Hiya.
How you doing?
Doing fine, thanks. Yourself?
You alright? Can you come and step out of the vehicle?
I'd rather not if you don't mind.
Sorry?
I'd rather not if you don't mind.
Hang on a minute. Hello?
Hi.
I need to speak to you about your driving.
Hiya.
Hello again.
Hi.
Can you just put the window down a little bit so I can hear you?
I'm afraid I can't.
You can if you turn the ignition on.
Well, I haven't got the key in the ignition.
Can I come on the other side then, because I can't hear a word with the traffic?
I don't think it'll be any better, but it'll certainly be safer if you want to do
Sorry?
that. I don't think it'll be any better to hear me. It'll certainly be safer if you want to do that.
Yeah, I just can't hear you, that's the problem. If we could open the window a little bit more.
It's
It's a busy road here.
I understand that. You don't have to open your window at all. And you are allowed to video the guys. Now, once he tried to open my door, first words out of his mouth, "Why are you recording me?" Or something like that. So I just said to him, "Well, I'm recording you for your protection and for mine, or for my protection and yours." At which point he laughed. Can I take your name and shoulder number, please?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can I take your name and shoulder number, please?
You can, yeah, it's 1537.
1537, and what's your name?
I'm from CMPG.
What's your name?
Why are you video recording?
Because it's for my protection and for yours.
Oh, right, okay. I need to speak to you about your driving on the M6.
Okay, what's your name?
I've just told you, 1537.
That's your shoulder number. What's your name, please?
Cash.
Cash. Right.
I
Okay.
need
He's obviously familiar with this practice of recording police officers. Good. Yeah, but like I say, I used that service. I used that Bambuser service to record the guy, just in case he decided to take my phone and say, "This is evidence." You know, I'm gonna process this as evidence, and you're not gonna see your phone for another 6 months. It meant that I didn't even have to bother transferring the data, you know, hooking my phone up to the computer and transferring the data out of the phone. I just went on to Bambuser, obviously in the library, went on to Bambuser, downloaded the video, then had a copy on my external hard drive, ready for when I would have had to have shown the solicitor that I inevitably was going to have to deal with about this. So I was obviously, all throughout my criminal case, I was dealing with a criminal solicitor. If this went to traffic court, which it did, I was going to have a solicitor who specialised in traffic law. Now the interesting thing, and this is why I say record the police whenever you interact with them. The interesting thing is when the ticket finally turned up at on our doorstep. 5.5 months later. I mean, good going, Staffordshire County Police. Although that's a bit of a strange one, because I was on the motorway. So the motorway is policed by Central Motorway Police Group, which is West Midlands Police. However, the police officer that I was dealing with, a fellow by the name of, I think, Adrian Cash, I think was his name. It took me 3 goes to get his name out of him. I'll have to upload clips of that video to this. He was from Staffordshire County. So it's all very strange. It's all very interlinked as well. I think the word that one of my colleagues used was incestuous. They all know each other. So yeah, back to the criminal. I'll come back to the traffic case in a moment. Back to the criminal case. Eventually, it goes to magistrates' court. Now, I was told on the day that nothing at magistrates' court was going to happen. This was going to go to Crown Court. When it goes to Crown Court, you know it's serious. The police went into the courtroom with God knows how many charges. I think I counted 12 or 14. I was found not guilty of a good portion. Sorry, the judge threw out a good portion of them because the CPS turned up to court with no evidence twice. He nearly held them in contempt of court. After that, what the hell? Oh, lorry's shed its load. That's why everybody's driving so slowly. Bloody hell. God, this shit is everywhere. Yeah, anyway, the judge damn near had the police officers for contempt. Not police officers, sorry, the CPS. I keep saying police officers. The police don't show up to court. The judge damn near had the Crown Prosecution Service for contempt of court. So he threw out a good number of the charges. Found me not guilty of 2 of them, and I ended up being found guilty of 1 charge. For that, I got a £500 fine, a 5-year supervision order, during which time I'm not allowed to delete my my internet history, because it's a computer-related crime. It doesn't really matter what crime it is. If you used the internet to even partially facilitate it, they'll say you're not allowed to delete your internet history.
Speed camera.
What else? So a 5-year supervision order, and 150 hours of community service.
Ahead. Keep right.
The community service, I'll come to in a minute. But
Warning. Gantry speed camera.
I'm done with the community service now. At least that's that bit over, done with. Haven't got to worry about it again. Because I intend to do things legally from now on. Unlike this idiot in the VW behind me that was tailgating.
Gantry speed camera.
Swear that guy. It's like the gantry speed cameras are telling us 60 miles an hour. So he's just battered past me at 70. He's now had to slam his brakes on as we come under a gantry speed camera to slow down to 60 to speed back up to 70. It's like, are you fucking stupid? Anyway, so
After 800 yards, keep right.
I'll get to the community service. I'll get back to what actually happened on community service in a little bit. So yeah, anyway, this this driving offence turns up at my door.
Speed camera.
Now
Gantry speed camera.
what he was going to have me for, what he was going to try to have me for, was speeding and driving without due care and attention. He subsequently found out that he hadn't been following me long enough that he was able to say that I was speeding. But he figured he had enough of a case to say that I was driving without due care and attention. So, what actually happened? I'll tell you what happened. I might even attach the video, so as you can see my
Gantry speed camera.
terrible driving.
Mobile speed camera.
There was a 4x4 in lane 3. I was driving down lane 2 and I was going quick because I was late for work. There was a lorry in lane 1 and I was coming up on a lorry in lane 2. So I'd actually moved out into lane 2 in order to pass this lorry, or pass the first lot of lorries. The guy in lane 3, where he was at the point in time that I passed him, he was lane hogging, which is more recently illegal in this country. He was lane hogging, so, you know, rather than sit behind him and wait for him to move out of the way, I thought, well, this dickhead ain't gonna move out of the way, so I'll do what you are actually allowed to do. I undertook him on the passenger side. You are allowed to do that with slow-moving traffic. He was not doing 70, which means that he's slow-moving traffic as far as the motorway goes. I'm pretty sure actually he was only doing about 60, which borders on inappropriate use of speed, but whatever. You know, I'm not a solicitor, so. What I then did was I undertook him, pulled in front of him, overtook the lorry, and then pulled back in. That was what he had me for, basically. So this ticket turns up. Now, before I go any further with that, for stuff like that, they have 3 possible ways to deal with you. You can have 3 points and an on-the-spot fine of £100. You can be told to go on a driver retraining course, something like that, which is £120, but no points on your license, so you don't have to tell your insurance company what's happened. Or they can take you to court. When you go to court, driving without due care and attention is a maximum fine of £5,000, I think. 9 points on your license as well. That's what the court can award. I got taken to court. So, being the astute person that I am, thought I ain't going to court without a solicitor. I found a solicitor's company on the internet called Burton Copeland. The solicitor that they put me in touch with in their company was a fellow by the name of Gwen Lewis. And if you ever end up, they're a company in Manchester, but they deal with people up and down the country. If you ever end up in traffic court, you need to speak to Gwen Lewis. I mean, this guy is fucking amazing. He asked me to send in all of the information that I had, including my video, which he reviewed. The whole process with him cost me about £425 in total. He reviewed all that. He then said, right, we have not seen any evidence from the police thus far of any wrongdoing on your part. we are going to plead not, and I'll do this on your behalf, we're going to plead not guilty at the moment. We're going to wait to see what evidence the CPS have, if they have any at all. Because if the CPS have no evidence, it becomes my word against the police officers, and our justice system is set up that my word will be taken. So yeah, pled not guilty at that point. He then put the request in for the dash cam evidence of the police officer. This rearranges the court date virtually automatically. Got a new court date through the post. That court date came and went. Police didn't send the dash cam evidence in. Next court date came and went. Police didn't send the dash cam evidence in. And I'm talking to Mr. Lewis, and I said, look, at this point, where do we go? Because we have to give them one more try. If they still don't turn up any evidence, I will put to the court that the police have no evidence of a crime, and job done. So, a few days before the court date comes up, and I'm thinking, like, we're 3 or 4 days before court at this point, and I'm thinking, absolute winner. They're not going to send in the evidence. I'm going to be fine. No. Lo and behold, a DVD turns up at the door. So he goes back to the court and he said, well, the thing's only just turned up, we need more time to review it. The court said, okay, fine, but this now, because the evidence has turned up, this is your last adjournment. Okay. So I showed it to a few people under Mr. Lewis's advice, because basically if you show something like that to friends and family, particularly those who have experience of driving, that is effectively a jury. So I showed it to my dad, I showed it to colleagues at work, I showed it to people on community service, and they all said that, whilst what I did was stupid, and it is not something they would do, they do see it done all the time. And, is it necessarily driving without due care and attention? Oh, maybe not. Court day arrives. We go in, and we actually plead guilty with mitigating circumstances. The mitigating circumstances being, I was under a considerable amount of stress when that happened, because of the criminal case that was still ongoing. Not to mention, the manoeuvre I pulled, I cannot have been driving without, it wasn't classed as dangerous driving, but nor can it have been classed as driving without due care and attention. For the simple reason that it was quite a complicated manoeuvre. The manoeuvre I pulled did not have the blue 4x4 that I undertook. He did not have to put his brakes on in order to avoid crashing into me. So there's the point where they say I was driving with care, and because of the complexity of the manoeuvre, I was quite clearly paying attention. Initially, had the court not had that argument put to them, along with the argument of we could actually prove that the police officer had lied about a couple of things. They were going to give me 9 points and like a £1,000 fine. It was going to be quite expensive for me. I ended up with 8 points and a £300 fine. I was more worried that they were going to be putting additional time on my community service at that point, so I was on community service by then. They didn't. don't know why I was worried about it, because community service actually wasn't that bad. So I said I'd come back to discussing community service. I started out in March. It was I was having to do it once a week because, basically because I work. You know, it's a bit of a pain because if I wasn't at work, I could have got all of my community service done in 15 days. But instead it was going to take 15 weeks. So I could only do 1 day a week. It's crazy. Started out in Wolverhampton, initially litter picking, then moving on to a project that they had running at the local schools. Then a rumour got around about me. Rumour wasn't true, but it was a crime that was... Like, the rumour was that I committed a crime that was particularly unpopular, even with criminals. You know, that ask any prison officer. Even criminals have a code. You know, it's not a written code, but they have a code, you know. So, wife beaters, rapists, child molesters, child killers. What else? Any crime that's deemed, you know, really socially unacceptable. You know, I mean, imagine if you knew someone who had actually raped a person. You know, what would your reaction to that person be? You know, you're not exactly likely to stay friends with them. But this rumour got around that I'd done something particularly nasty that I hadn't done, and for my protection, they moved me on to a different community service hub. Now, I've been partnered with somebody who had done a considerable amount of community service, a fellow by the name of Frank. I was with Frank, and he said that one of the tricks that they do when you're starting to get low on hours is they'll say that something has happened and they need to move you. They'll either move your day or they'll move the group that you, the actual physical location that you have to report to go to community service. This is in order to basically cause problems for you. You know, you might forget that you've got to go to Staffordshire instead of Wolverhampton, or rather, you know, you have to go to Cannock rather than Wolverhampton Community Service Hub, and you know, that way they can put you again. They can put you on breach proceedings, drag you to court, and you know, you end up with more community service.
After 800 yards, keep right.
It's basically, you know, one big scam as far as that's concerned. Well, he was right. You know,
Keep right.
he was absolutely dead right. I ended up getting moved to Warsaw, and I have to say, at that point, I was
Mobile speed camera.
totally underwhelmed by, you know, their protection of me. Because when I got to Warsaw, first thing that happened was these dickheads that I was working with start accusing me of the same fucking thing. You know, so maybe these rumours, or maybe what the probation service was saying about these rumours was true. You know, that these rumours genuinely had got spread around. I don't think they were true, I don't think that much is true, but I have to admit that when I got to Warsaw, I started getting accused of the same stuff. And the guys at Warsaw said that they wanted £500 every week each, or I was going to get beaten up. Like, what the fuck, you know? So I went into my probation meeting the next week, and I said to my probation officer, I told her what had happened, and I said, I ain't going there again. So I'm not going to Walsall again. And she said, no, that's fair enough. We'll find a place for you somewhere else. Now I suggested Cannock, because the Cannock Community Service Hub is down the road from me. And although Cannock is in Staffordshire and I live in Wolverhampton, which is West Midlands, the probation service that I am under is West Midlands and Staffordshire. So that's quite a big probation service area. I figured they'd just send me to Cannock. They didn't. They ended up sending me to Dudley. Dudley Community Service, the community service I was doing at Dudley, and the guys that I was working with, absolutely fantastic. Community service, it's meant to be hard work, you know. It's meant to be that you give something back to the community for the wrongs that you have committed against that community. That's what was happening at Dudley. You know, Wolverhampton, it was litter picking mostly. Like I said, there was a project that I got put on, but Wolverhampton, it was mostly litter picking. The 1 week that I did at Walsall, we were clearing somebody's house out in some real chav nasty area, you know, clearing out somebody's back garden. That's not exactly a community thing. That is clearing somebody's back garden, you know. Then I went, like I say, I went to Dudley, and the project that we were put on at Dudley was maintaining a graveyard, basically maintaining the grass. Now this graveyard, the grass hadn't been cut in God knows how long. It was 4 foot high. And I'll put a post up, I'll overlay the pictures that I took with my phone of the last day that I was there. Actually, most of the time that I was there, I was operating the lawn mowers. I was working in an area with another fella that had already been cut back by the community service projects, and we were just doing the maintenance. 2 other guys were doing the actual sort of cutting back part. Now, what generally happens at the other community service hubs was that the people that I was working with tried to avoid doing as much work as possible. The supervisor had to jog them along. That wasn't so much the case with Wolverhampton. The Wolverhampton Community Service Hub was reasonably hard-working. And by the way, I am aware that this video is already 57 minutes long, so I'm not going to make this section much longer. Yeah, the guys at Wolverhampton weren't too bad. You went to Walsall, they were really work shy. The fellas I was working with at Dudley were so hard working because the cause was so good. And you know what? When I finished every Saturday, I was dirty, I was sweaty, I stank to high heaven, I was tired. And when I say I stank to high heaven, I stank of a combination of BO and petrol. Because we were using petrol-powered machines to get the job done. And they weren't the most efficient machines in the world. Yeah, like I say, I stunk. But it felt good. You know, it was such an amazing thing. You know, I was taking care of war graves, you know, people who died for us in the First and Second World Wars, and the church just didn't have the money to maintain their graves properly. It was heartbreaking, you know, that such a situation could arise that the church that these people are buried at couldn't afford to cut the grass, and nobody else was doing it for them. It was all done by the community service hub. that's just wrong, you know. Anyway, what I was doing was such good work, and the guys I was working with in the final few weeks were great guys. I'll never forget them. And you know what? The two that were constantly there out of the community service group was a fella called Ivor and Raj. I could never get his name right. He knows who he is. and the supervisor, Ian. Guys, if you're watching this, and I hope you are, I will never forget you. You know, you were fantastic. I'll go so far as to say friends, you know. And you guys made that whole time so much more bearable. I don't think I would have been or felt as easy. That's my phone ringing. Okay, let me answer that. And no, you know what? It's an 03 number. I don't recognise it. I'm not going to answer it. I don't recognise the number. It can go to voicemail. I'll pick the voicemail up at the service station. But yeah, Ivor, Ian, and Raj. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. Along with the other fellas that sort of came and went from our little group. I will never forget you guys. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being so accepting and you know, so helpful and just so good with me generally, you know. Thank you so much for that. You have my eternal gratitude. On that note, I'm going to stop this particular vlog here, this one that's now gone on to like an hour and 1 minute. Yeah, pretty much. I will catch you guys on the next one. Don't know where it'll be. I might be at a service station. We shall have to see. See ya. Hey everyone. So I'm on my way back home now. It's always sad. The end of a holiday. But all good things must come to an end. I've just said goodbye to Luke. Dropped him off at the petrol station. The particular petrol station I left him at is basically adjacent to his home address. So yeah, said goodbye to him there. We had one last drink on the pier. No, we had one last game of pool on the pier. And he wiped the floor with me. The pool videos I'll upload probably separately to everything else. I didn't make a video of the pool on the pier.
Cross the roundabout, first exit.
But I did make video of pool at the pavilion, where I lost miserably. And it was such a stupid loss as well. You'll have to watch the videos to see that. But it was such a dumb way to lose. Unbelievable. But anyway, it was a good game.
After 800 yards, cross the roundabout.
We had, like I say, we had final drinks at the pavilion. Luke was patient with me while I went on some rides on the pier. which are ridiculously expensive. It's like £2.50 for 30 seconds on a roller coaster, and £2 for 2 or 3 minutes on a whirling thing. But I think when you're in a tourist trappy place like Clacton-on-sea, you do kind of expect to spend unreasonable amounts of money on stuff like that. That's just how it goes. I've been waiting to pass that Honda that's behind me for a good while. Has this mic come on clips? No, it hasn't. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but look at the queue of traffic behind that guy, because he's not driving the appropriate speed for the road. Fucking retard. People who are like that annoy me. So yeah, as I say, it's a 3-hour trip, 3 hours 15 minutes trip back home. Obviously I'm not going to talk into the camera for all of that. I've got a little bit more travelling time than that, because I'm going to need to stop at a service station after the final drinks. I won't go into too fine a detail, but I mean, basically drank a pint of Coca-Cola, which was nice. The problem is with Coke, one, it's a liquid, so you know, liquid just goes through you, but Coke is also a diuretic. So yeah, I'll leave your imaginations to fill the rest in there, but yeah, Coke's a diuretic, so I know I'm going to have to stop probably at Cambridge services. Whatever, that's where I've got to stop, that's where I've got to stop. Then it's, after about an hour and a half, it's onto the motorway, because seriously, half this journey was on A roads. I mean, right now I'm on the A133. I don't know that. I do know that, but I don't know it. Like my dad, he'd be driving along and he would know which road he's on.
Mobile speed camera.
Oh, I don't. I have to be told by the sat nav. Well, I have to look it up later on my dash cam, which maps where you are, and find out where I was from there. Because at one point last week, I thought I was at junction 7 of the M5. I was at junction 1 of the M5. At least I got the right motorway. I'm pretty useless with stuff like that. Some people will say, oh, it's your sat-nav that's made you lazy. Actually, no. I'm goodish with directions, but knowing where I am when I'm not following directions, I'm pretty useless. And I always have been. I haven't always had a TomTom in my car, you know, haven't always had a smartphone. There were times when I just started driving. If I wanted to go somewhere, I had to print out the directions from InfoQuest.
800 yards past the roundabout, second exit.
I never used MapQuest. Oh no, I'm not going to say I never used MapQuest. Very rarely used MapQuest. InfoQuest was always the mapping website of choice for me. It used to really get my goat that my dad would insist on using a CD-ROM that we got free with a computer back in 1998. He's still using that CD-ROM. He would still be using that CD-ROM in like 2008. And then he'd wonder why there were roads that were now, new roads had been laid, that this program didn't have maps, and there were roads that had been closed off or had been turned into one-way streets that this map program thought was supposed to be there. And I'm like, Dad, you're using a piece of software that's 10 years old. Use the internet. You know, it's up to date. It's as up to date as the internet's going to get, at least. Let's be honest, the internet's fairly up to date. It's not usually a reputable service, so back then, you know, InfoQuest, MapQuest was reputable, but I just never liked it. These days, Google Maps, Bing if you're desperate, but Google Maps does the job.
Warning, mobile speed camera.
You know, he was never a big believer in stuff like that. And then I bought him a sat-nav. I bought him a sat-nav. I bought him a Blue Media sat-nav. He started to not rely on it, but he started to use it a lot. And when it broke down, as it eventually did, he was like, "Oh my God, my sat-nav's broken. Must immediately go out and buy a new one." But in the meantime, whilst I'm going out to buy my new one, can I borrow yours, Alan? I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, because I had one at that point. Yeah, I love my dad. I really do love him, but he's interesting to deal with. Anyway, that's about all I have to say for now. I might do something when I stop at the services. Don't know. I'm just going to carry on driving. I'm going to get frustrated with the dickhead in a Ford Fiesta at the front of all this traffic, who once again is not using the appropriate speed. It's a 60-mile-an-hour road. Stop driving 40 on it. Yeah. This was a rather entertaining point with Luke yesterday when we went to London. I wish I'd been able to, well, I was able to make a video on the way down to London, of course, and I don't think Luke would have objected to being in it. But I didn't make one. Oh well. Like I said on an earlier video, I did make one whilst we were down there. The train aficionados among you might appreciate that one a bit more than anybody else. Anywho, that's it for now, and I will catch you on the next one.
Hey, I am at the motorway service station. I don't really know what, if anything, I'm going to record here. Well, I'll say what, if anything, I'm going to record here. Obviously, I'm recording something. So, yeah, just in case you really care, there's the car park. My car is out there somewhere. I did spot it earlier. Oh, yeah, I can see it. That's the service station. It's called Extra in Cambridge or something like that. Oh yeah, it's right in front of me in big letters, Extra. So yeah, I have to sit here looking like I'm saluting you because it's fucking sunny where I chose to sit. But this is the quieter part of the service station, so it's like now here or nowhere. So yeah, I've got about another 2 hours worth of driving to do, which, well, it's 6:23 now, so it's going to be 8-9 o'clock before I get home, and there is a traffic jam on the motorway as well. Not looking forward to having to deal with that, but you know, I'm a driver in England, have to deal with traffic jams occasionally. Other than that, I don't really know what to say. There's not really much I can tell you about this place. It's a service station. There was some dumbass down in McDonald's who, like, bought me my foods, or sort of brought the food to the counter. I grabbed the tray and he went, "Oh, I didn't know you were eating in." So, well, I did say, "Can I have a Big Mac meal to eat in, please?" Fuckwits. You know, not to say that everybody who works at Mackie D's is a fuckwit, but
That guy was. He was so stupid. I had to tell him that I wanted a Sprite 3 times. He kept trying to give me a Coke or a Fanta or something like that. And I was like, no, I would like a Sprite. Do you have it? You know, if you don't have it, just tell me and I'll go for Coke or Fanta. But no, wasn't that simple. Yeah, actually, this place is weird. I tried connecting to the Wi-Fi while I was sitting in the, like, using the bathroom, and it only showed one Wi-Fi network, which is Regus, and that's the Wi-Fi network for the. They've got some like offices spaces you can rent out the back here. Only showed that. As soon as I come into the main foyer, 50 billion Wi-Fi networks show up. So, I mean, obviously they've got it zoned, but they must have it zoned so well. Anyway, I think that's about it. I'm going to get back in the car and get back home. See you later.